Welcome to another reading of Lord Mayor. We're starting on page 2851, it's the same chapter we've been on for a while, The New Life, and it's 1949. This is Baba speaking. I now ask you to decide and align yourself in one of the following three categories. First, one who wishes to contribute 1,000 rupees toward the new life. Second, one who thinks he cannot contribute. Third, one who wishes to safeguard this amount can go away today faultlessly. Those who choose the second category cannot and should not feel the least diminution of status among the companions. No discrimination in treatment will be used. Even if one gives away the amount, I might send him away for reasons of health, accidents, or mishaps, without any fault on his part. I am making these plans so that this new life should not prove a torture to you all. Although suffering will certainly be there, it should be and will be enjoyable. This plan, if realized, will make me feel really happy. I see you are laboring and exerting your utmost to keep up the mood, the prerequisite of this new life. I do appreciate all this. These hardships, however, are nothing compared with what I see in the hazy picture of the new life after the 1st of January. I myself am still not feeling free, although I am 100% free. I myself am still not feeling free, although I am 100% free. I also feel that lack of food will make us all cowards. The help period, which automatically ends on the 31st of December, has allowed the changes so far without affecting the conditions and my oath. After January 1, I shall be perfectly free. Baba then asked the companions to choose one of the three alternatives, and all wholeheartedly agreed to give him their individual amounts. Baba was very happy at their decision. He instructed the men to wash their hands and faces and stand before him one by one. He washed his own hands and poured a little water on the hands of every companion. He had them stand in a line and asked Ghani to loudly repeat this prayer. In the presence of God and having God as our witness, we have willingly and wholeheartedly offered 1,000 rupees, which amount was our property, for the use of the companions in this new life, willingly and wholeheartedly. May God make our new life a success. With the sacrificing of 1,000 rupees each, the companions now had no money left to their names. Baba then began discussing how to have good food within the conditions, as he had stated he would do when they reached Jaunpur. So this is Baba speaking again. Now that we have the wherewithal, we can buy food on the way and also beg. Whatever raw grains we obtain by begging, we will use after January 1. For myself, I wish to be completely free to think out plans and attend to the problems of the new life after January 1, such as singing, begging, langoti, etc. For this reason, I shall be happy if you people take up and manage the food question, and the manner of journeying, on foot or rail, any way you like. I assure you that I will not interfere in your management. I will only give general instructions. You will have to look to details. I also give you full latitude to make food arrangements in the way you deem best, to eat whatever food you like. My guess is that the 15,000 rupees you have offered, that was the aggregate amount, will last for about 6 months. I feel I should not be bothered to see this part of our new life. Although the promised period of help is still there until December 31. The camel cart, camel, and cows are to be sold, but the donkeys and horse are to be retained. Some other means must be found for carrying the luggage. No one was ready to tackle the question of food, as every man had different tastes and preferences, and they knew it would be impossible to satisfy each one. This was only possible when Baba's order prevailed, when everyone, regardless of taste, would partake of whatever was placed before him. There was another reason no one wanted to be in charge of the cooking. Although Baba had stated he would not interfere, they were extremely doubtful that he would not create some interference. He might not do it directly, but by creating disharmony among the companions. He was liable to do so indirectly, as was his old habit. Observing his companion's thoughtful expressions, Baba guilelessly reassured them. Believe me when I say that I am serious in making this proposal. If you deal with this problem of food, a great burden will be lifted from my head. I will be very relieved indeed. If you solve this problem among yourselves, you can arrange for food as you like, so much so that I will not say anything regarding time for meals and so forth. I will also have nothing to say about the time of our journey or the type of travel. You may decide on going by foot or train. I leave everything to you. So why do you hesitate? Baba consulted Adi, Pendu, Erich, Don, and Sadashiv, but each man declined, as he was convinced this innocent-looking independence would, in fact, turn into a rope around his neck. They opined that Baba should continue the present arrangement of begging for food. Baba asked Ghani, "Why don't you come forward now? You and Adi are chronically dissatisfied with the food. This is your opportunity. Why don't you seize it?" Ghani replied, "If I have the cooperation of every man, I'm ready to take it on." Erich said, "If this satisfies Baba, I am 100% ready to cooperate, but I do not wish to be either the supervisor or the manager." Not one man was prepared to be the manager, but some voiced their assurance that if Ghani were appointed manager, they would extend their full cooperation to him. So Baba took a vote. Including Baba, there were 16 in all, but Ghani only managed to get 9 votes. Baba himself voted for him. Baba said, I am not happy with the result as I wanted a unanimous decision. Don proposed that a committee be formed with Pendu, Erich, Adi, Vishnu, and Ghani as supervisors. No one liked that idea. Setting it aside, Baba remarked, you people fail to grasp that I really want to be free to look after other details of the new life. You did not trust me when I said that I would be pleased if you make some independent arrangement for food. My conscience is clear. Now your disgruntled dissatisfaction, murmurs, grumbling, and other complaints about food will have no place in the new life. How skillfully Baba had tackled this question. In fact, he had wanted no griping about the food. Now there was no room left for them even to think about complaining. How naturally he had brought all this about in such a marvelous a way. How naturally he had brought all this about in such a marvelous way. During their discussions that afternoon in Jaunpur, Baba also finalized 20 conditions for begging. 1. Beg only for food for individuals and for the whole party of 20 members, and not for anything else. 2. While begging for food, accept anything and everything offered, solid, liquid, cooked, raw, vegetarian, and non-vegetarian food. 3. Do not ask for anything in particular or any special kind of food. 4. While begging, you can persuade, request, and, if necessary, impress by spiritual or moral talks. 5. You should, however, emphatically declare that we are not spiritually perfect, nor do we have any spiritual experience, but only what we hear about spiritual or moral things is what we understand to be right. 6. Do not talk about me as the Master, a Sadguru, or the Avatar, nor about yourselves as my disciples, but only refer to me and yourselves as companions. 7. Never tell a lie or do anything which might be against the conditions. 8. You can speak with women and girls, if necessary, only for begging and bazaar purposes. 9. We cannot steal or kill animals to satisfy our hunger. 10. Without prearrangement, we can take advantage of friends, acquaintances, and relatives whom we happen to come across on our route, and even by suggestions according to my instructions, if and when such occasions arise. 11. If offered without asking, you can accept ready-made and unstitched clothing, and wearing apparel of all kinds, cotton and woolen. 12. If offered, do not accept money, shoes, hats, caps, pens, brass and copper pots, toilet accessories, watches, jewelry, belts, eyeglasses, dentures, and medicine. 13. Food and clothing, and any of the above-mentioned acceptable things, when received, should first be brought to me. 14. Both you, the receivers, and they, the givers, should definitely understand it as bhiksha. 15. Fodder, ropes, iron shoes for the bullocks, and anything relating to the animals and carts can be asked for and accepted as bhiksha. 16. Do not accept any animals if offered. 17. Fuel in any form can be asked for and accepted as bhiksha. 18. Unlike previous restrictions, begging can now be done from shops, private houses, ashrams, and sadhavarts, which are charitable organizations which provide food to travelers. 19. Tobacco in any form can be accepted if offered without asking. 20. You may beg for living accommodation and conveyances. After this meeting, Adi was sent to Delhi by train to arrange their residence in Moradabad with the help of Harjiwan Lal and Keki Desai. That same day, the cows and calves were sold for 260 rupees, and the camel and camel cart for 750 rupees. Rosalie, could you unmute and continue?
In the evening, Baba asked the companions if they were happy. The majority said they were. Pendu replied that externally he was happy, but internally he was not. Don said that he was happy both internally and externally, but not in the middle. Ghani said, I am happy since yesterday, as Baba has permitted me to eat mutton during their stay at Jaunpur. Don't worry, Baba said, and he repeated what he had told them before. We all sink or swim together. Some local people came for Baba's darshan. When they refused to leave despite attempts at persuasion, Baba came forward and motioned, I am pleased to have your darshan. Feeling ashamed, this made them leave in a hurry. Ghani noted in his diary on Monday, 19th December 1949, during the Jaunpur stay, it was something of a sight to see Baba invariably seated in the two-flap tent with the companions around him in a semicircle when it was still dark. In the early hours of the morning, with only a hurricane lamp lighting the scene. As the companions sat with him that morning, Baba gave this explanation comparing the old and the new life. We have left the old life, and there is no going back to it now. The old life is practically dead. I have heard it said that when a person dies, the spirit is still connected with it, the body, for 3 to 4 days. Before the spirit enters a new, different sphere, there intervenes a wee bit of time, which may be said to be a sort of vacuum between the old and the new life after death. Similarly, our old life has been dead since October 16th. From that day up to the 21st of December, our new life has had a kind of connection with the old life. Now see how things get adjusted automatically. I told you some time back in Belgaum that before plunging completely into the new life in right earnest, from 1st January 1950, there would be a vacuum period of 10 days between the old and new life. Only this morning I remembered it, and you people too forgot to remind me about it. I have therefore decided that during the vacuum period of 10 days, from 22nd to 31st December, there will be a complete suspension of the 4 ordeals of the training period as follows. A, there will be no begging. B, no wearing of the kafni. C, no physical labor of any sort. If necessary, hired labor will be engaged. D, complete relaxation with good food to be purchased with the money we have with us. As Adi was away, Baba wanted him informed about this vacuum period by telegram. Baba remarked, not knowing about it, Adi may be telling things about us in Delhi, which people will not find us practicing once we arrive. Padri was instructed to come to Moradabad after collecting 15,000 rupees from Meherji in Bombay. Don, Pendu, and Sadashiv were told to arrange transport for the animals, caravan, and bullock cart to Moradabad by freight. The women had named the 2 donkeys, who had now turned out to be quite useful, Saku and Taku. They had been a source of trouble at first, but now that they were carrying a load, the donkeys were less stubborn. On the last day of their stay in Jaunpur, 20th December, Baba, along with Pendu, Baidul, and Erich, traveled 4 miles from the city and contacted an advanced must. Baba left by train for Moradabad with the group of companions around 1 o'clock. On the afternoon of Wednesday, 21st December 1949. The 4 women traveled via first class, and Baba and the men rode in the servants' compartment. Don, Pendu, and Sadashiv were left behind in Jaunpur to accompany the caravan, bullock cart, bullocks, horse, and 2 donkeys by freight train. Baba and the companions arrived in Moradabad at 3 a.m. and rested in the waiting room at the station until dawn. Adi met them and informed Baba about the place they would stay. That morning, they walked to a dharamshala that consisted of a single large room with 12 doors, 3 doors in each of its 4 walls. The place was chilly and damp inside. Adi had arranged accommodation in Ram Leela Maidan, a public garden. But as it took time to clean the area, They spent the day in the Dharamshala and went to the Maidan, the garden, that evening. The Maidan had been found at the last moment. Adi, Harjawan, Lal, and Keki Desai were about to give up hope of ever finding a suitable place according to Baba's terms, and considered sending a telegram to Baba for his advice. Then Harjawan entered a barber shop for a shave. He asked the barber, "Don't sadhus, saints, and Mahatmas ever come here?" "Regularly," the man replied. "Where do they stay?" "We have a big field that is specifically meant for them." Harjawan quickly gathered more details, and when his shave was over, stuffed a few rupee notes into the barber's hand. "So much, sir?" the barber asked. "To me, it is too little," Harjawan said. "You have not only removed my beard, but a great headache as well." Desai, Harjawan, and Adi then approached the proper authorities, and the place was acquired. But as it was past evening, the cleaning had to be postponed until the next day. Padre arrived on the 26th morning with 15,000 rupees handed over by Meherji. Baba did not see either Padre or Harjawan Lal. According to Baba's wish, only Erish and Adi spoke with them. Baba sent Padre a message that he was pleased with his promptness in carrying out his orders, and joked, "You have one foot in the old life and one foot in the new life, but you need not be afraid that your feet will ever be torn asunder, split out from under you." Baba had allowed Keki Desai a few minutes on the 26th in regards to the Manjri Mafi accommodations. Baba also showed Keki a tent that Don had given him, in which he stayed. It was erected near the steps leading to the women's room. Baba conveyed to Keki that he wanted 12 similar tents for his companions, which Keki had ordered to purchase in Delhi. Keki was unable to obtain such tents ready-made, so Baba instructed that a sample be made to his specifications. It was at this time that Harjawan Lal became aware of the plight of the companions in the freezing weather, and he left with the express purpose of sending them some warm woolen clothing. The men and women had not a single woolen coat between them, and the men were spending the nights in their kafnis, usually outside in the open. Out of the 15,000 rupees, 2 tongas and a horse were purchased for 1,500 rupees in Moradabad. Food, too, was provided from that amount during this vacuum period. The rest of the money was kept aside for erecting a hut for the companions in Manjri Mafi, and for paying rent for the house the companions would occupy until the hut was ready. Also, from that amount, money was kept aside for pilgrim taxes, the hire of boats, octroi, toll fee to be paid while crossing the bridge, and other levies. Whatever balance remained went toward the purchase of fodder for the animals. During this time, Baba warned, After January 1st, not a pai will be spent for food or clothing. Returning to Delhi, Harjawan Lal informed Kishan Singh and Was Dao Kane about the condition of the men and women companions. A letter was received from them about sending a variety of eatables and clothing, which they said would be given as bhiksha. In reply, Baba sent the following specific instructions to Harjawan Lal. 1. Do not arrange cooked food in Moradabad from 1st January onwards as bhiksha. 2. If absolutely willing and of your own accord, and without expectation of any result or reward, spiritual or otherwise, and without expecting nazar, blessings, etc., you can send before 1st January purely as bhiksha, as much and whatever you can in the form of grain, fruits, dried fruits, provisions, and ghee. 3. If you send the above mentioned in bhiksha, they will be used from 1st January 1950 onwards as the 100% new life of labor, begging, etc., will begin with the year 1950. 4. We may leave Moradabad any day after the 1st, maybe a day later or a fortnight later. Therefore, whatever you send as eatables and whatever Kishan Singh and Kane want to send in warm clothing as bhiksha should be sent before 1st January 1950. 5. Warm clothing should consist of blankets, pullovers, sweaters, jackets, socks, and gloves, and should be given in bhiksha. 6. None of you should come here to Moradabad, nor should you contact the companions, nor correspond with us. Send everything with your typist, Anand Gopal. On receipt of this letter, Harjawan Lal immediately sent the following items from the typist, with the typist, accompanied by Harjawan's 12-year-old son, Inder Singh. 40 blankets, 37 sweaters, 58 pairs of woolen socks, 30 pairs of cotton socks, 20 mufflers, 6 knitted winter caps, 1 woolen jacket, 2 tins of dried fruit, 2 tins of ghee, 2 tins of sweetmeats, 1 tin of sohan salva, a sweet, 1 tin of carrot halva, 1 box of tea, 1 box of preserves, 1 basket of fruit, 1 tin of dal and spices, 1 box of pickles, 1 box of cigarettes, 2 trunks containing some of the above items. All of the above had cost Harjawan Lal approximately 2,200 rupees. In addition, he was to send 20 seers of sugar in alms before 1st January. Harjawan Lal had already bought everything before receiving Baba's instructions, so it took him no time at all to consult Was Deo Kane and Kishan Singh and send the items. Although Harjawan Lal had only met Erich and Adi in Moradabad, He had been deeply moved by the companion's state and wished to dispatch the parcels as soon as possible. No sooner did Baba come to know that Harjawan's son, Indersain, had accompanied the typist and met Baba Das, who had been forbidden to have any contact with the Harjawan Lal family. Then he sent word for Indersain to go back immediately with all the parcels. Hearing this, Indersain fainted. When Baba was informed, he merely smiled, called the boy to sit near him, and then agreed to accept the bhiksha. The following message was sent to Harjawan Lal. Baba has accepted with great happiness what you have sent in bhiksha according to your list. The 32 pairs of cotton pajamas, which you have kept ready to be given before January 1st in bhiksha, can be sent with Keki Desai to Dehradun to be given to me, Baba, there. From now on, you and your family should not have any connection with me, nor any contact or communication with me or my companions. Strangely, this was Baba's method of pure love. The more he minimized his outward connection with Harjawan Lal, the closer and tighter he drew the family into his net. After the partition of India, Moradabad had become a hotbed of conflict between the Hindus and Mohammedans. To prevent trouble, the place where they were staying, Ram Leela, had been declared out of bounds to Muslims. Footnote. During the New Life travels, one of the men was in charge of carrying a loaded pistol to prevent any intruder from harming the women. Alaba, who at that time was still called Ali Akbar, had to fetch water from the well along with the other companions. And one day, someone heard his name being called and accused him of being a Muslim. Baba therefore changed his name to Alaba and Gani's to Ganoba. Although Ganoba lasted only until they left Moradabad, the new name Alaba stuck with Ali Akbar. Monday, 26 December 1949, was celebrated as Mera's birthday that year. Since it still was the vacuum period, delicious food was served. In fact, Baba had relaxed restrictions so much that meals were ordered from restaurants according to each one's taste, vegetarian and meat dishes notwithstanding. In the garden of Ram Leela, Ram himself was enacting his Leela, divine game, playing the role of a wandering pilgrim. But none were aware of his presence and caravan staying there. On the 27th, Baidu brought a must in a tanga. The must embraced Gustaji and Baba. Baba gave him chiki and tea and bowed to him 3 times. The next day, Baba went in a tanga with Baidu and contacted 4 musks. Baba fed one of the musks, Cheeky, with his own hands and commented, "There is a world of difference between my 2 actions towards the must. For example, when I give food, beaties, or a cigarette to a must, and when I feed a must with my own hands or light a cigarette for him." Pendu, Dan, and Sadashiv arrived at Moradabad on 29 December with the caravan cart and animals. That day, Gustaji expressed his unwillingness to carry out any of Baba's orders that were beyond his capacity. Baba said, "I forgive Gustaji on the grounds of his age, his long association with me, his 20 years of silence, and my word given to Upasni Maharaj that I would look after him. But the rest of you should not dare emulate Gustaji. You do so at your own risk after the 1st of January." The next day, Baba chalked out the individual duties of each of the companions from 1st to 12th January. Baidu, to look after and feed the 2 horses, maintain the tongas, and drive 1 tonga. Baidul's tonga to carry Kaka, Murli, and the cooking luggage. After stopping, Baidul to feed the horses and inquire about must. Adi Sr. to drive 1 tonga, which should carry Gani, Babadas, and the horses' fodder. Adi to select a landing or camping ground or shelter. Kaka and Murli to cook and keep ready the previous day's biksha. Gani and Babadas to beg at the village or town of stoppage for the next day's grub. Pendu to drive the caravan. Vishnu to drive the cart. Sadashiv to help Pendu and Vishnu on the way. Pendu and Sadashiv to feed the bullocks and donkeys. Donkan to help Baidu, Pendu, and Sadashiv regarding the animals only. Alaba to supply water and cleanse utensils. Nilu to load and unload the carts and caravan and help Alaba in water supply. Erich to see to the caravan management and to Baba's and ladies' work. Anna 104 to do night watch. Gustaji to be all round major domo. On Saturday morning, 31st December, Baba asked the companions to wash their hands and face and stand before him to hear the following prayer. Baba sent for a mug of hot water and then poured a little over each companion's hands. Gani read out the prayer, first in English and then in Hindi. Today is the last day of the 2.5 months period of promised help. I ask the most merciful God for forgiveness for myself and my companions for any conscious or unconscious, big or small mistakes committed by me and my companions toward each other or toward the spirit of the conditions of the new life and the oath pertaining thereto during these 2.5 months. I forgive my companions wholeheartedly for any misbehavior toward me, and ask my companions to wholeheartedly pardon me for any ill treatment that I might have given to them. I ask the all powerful God to give us strength to live 100% according to the conditions and the oaths, the new life that begins from tomorrow, the 1st of January, 1950. Baba then observed, after full consideration and keeping the conditions of the new life and our oaths perfectly in sight, I have decided that without promising anything, I will try to overlook unconscious mistakes, small or large. But I will never condone any small or large mistakes consciously committed. I will not forgive any mistake that radically goes against the spirit of the conditions. And under no circumstances will there be any compromise. I will be brother and friend in every respect, except in absolute obedience to my orders. We who stick to the conditions 100% sink or swim together. I think it's time for another reader.
I think Rolf is having a little nap, so I'll continue. On Sunday, 1 January 1950, Baba wished all his companions a happy new life. It had rained the previous night, and Baba remarked, "The new life has begun with wetness outside. It augurs well for the new life proving wet inside too." All stood before Baba as prayers representing the four major religions were read out. Sadashiv, Vishnu, and Nilu read the Dasavatar, 10 incarnations, section of the Bhagavata Purana. Aloba and Baidul read from the Quran. Adi, Kaka, and Erich read from the Zendavesta. Dawn
You didn't say Gani Alaba Baidu. You
oh,
just said Alaba. Yeah.
oh, sorry. Ghani, Alaba, and Baidul read from the Quran. Adi, Kaka, and Erich read from the Zendavesta. Dawn read a short prayer dictated by Baba. Afterwards, Baba gave each a piece of Christmas cake. Before leaving, Ghani and Babadas were sent out for begging. At 2 o'clock that afternoon, they left Muradabad, walking in procession. The cavalcade now consisted of a caravan, 2 tongas, and 1 bullock cart. Pendu drove the caravan, Dawn and Baidul the tongas, and Sadashiv the bullock cart. Baba and the companions trudged along, all the luggage piled into the caravan, tongas, and cart. After covering about 6 miles, the caravan halted for the night at Pakwara village in the garden of the Kamal Kunj bungalow. While they were resting, Maya scorned them and the improvement in their lot, in parentheses, because of Harijiwan's Bhiksha. Maya's wrath came in the form of rain. Heavy showers came thundering upon them. The companions were lying in the open garden in the pitch dark. As the showers began, they hurriedly rolled up their bedding and, shouldering it, ran to the veranda of the bungalow. Aloba fell down when his feet got entwined in the cord tied to the animals. Sadashiv rebuked him, saying, "Why are you looking at me? Pick up your bedding. Did you write yes just to stare at me? This is the new life." Their bedding got soaked in spite of their efforts. On the first day of the new life of helplessness, Indra's Bhiksha, Indra being the god of rain, Indra's Bhiksha rendered them totally helpless. Baba was inside a small tent, but it had holes in it and leaked, so he and his bedding also got drenched. It was a sleepless, miserable night. But Baba was happy. "I feel that this picture of the new life which I have formed in my mind will come true," he said. "God knows best." They left the garden early on the morning of 2 January. The two Tongas went in advance to select the next halting spot, where Kaka was to keep the food ready and Gani and Babadas were to go out for begging. After walking 5 miles, Baba sent Erich out to beg. He brought loaves of bread, a piece of which Baba distributed to each one. The women fed grass to the donkeys, and after covering a further 5 miles, they arrived at the village of Haryana at 2 p.m., where they stayed in a mango grove. During this period, as noted, Kaka was cooking at every halting place with Murli's help. Anna 104 was doing night watch. Erich was usually by Baba's side, attending to his personal needs, and was also being sent out to beg for alms. The other men were fetching water and filling the pots, cleaning utensils, giving fodder and water to the animals, and keeping the vehicles in functioning condition. They left Haryana the next morning, and after walking 5 miles, the women sat in the caravan to rest during a 2 mile stretch, as instructed by Baba. They then walked another mile and a half. The afternoon and night were spent in a mango grove at Amroha, where Baba sent the companions out in tongas to beg. While he was awaiting their return, sitting under one of the mango trees, Baba dictated this whimsical poem to Dawn. "Kaka's headache is Gustaji, who is always near the fire. Kaka feeds his children daily, though we know he is minus a wife. You will find our Dr. Munsif Ghani under blankets and his gunny. Vishnu and Nilu load and unload. Murli peels onions with a knife. Pendu and Sadashiv Patil drive the bullocks and the carts. Baidul and Adi are Tongawalas. Anna is always causing strife. Dawn helps with the beasts in general. Babadas is moaning and groaning. Aloba sees to the pots and water. Erich is the caravan's life. The companions returned with loads of alms. It was amazing that although they had gone out in tongas, they could beg and obtain such largesse. But Erich, being the strongest, had to walk carrying a pot of sugarcane juice on his head, as it would have spilled in the tonga. Everyone else rode back to the camp. People were generous in Amroha, so the companions had plenty of food and they rested well. It had been a gypsy life. From Benares to Jaunpur and from Moradabad, this phase also continued. On the morning of Wednesday, 4 January 1950, they left Amroha at 8 o'clock, reaching Ratangar at 4:30 after walking 15 miles. The women walked 9.5 miles and covered the rest of the distance in the caravan. On the way, Erich regularly went out to beg. Baba would mostly precede the women, accompanied by Erich, Mera, and Goher, following a furlong behind. Mani and Meru were behind them. Mani and Meru were behind them, leading the two donkeys. And lastly, the men in white kafnis and green turbans followed some distance behind. And we'll stop here, top of page 2862.
Eugene, I have a question.
Quest.
Well, on the condition